Oelkers!
Here in the land of 10,000 legs, our history runs deep, with a tradition that's golden. And now it's time to connect the past with the present and awaken the echoes. It's time to bridge the gap, to honor that tradition and uphold it. For those whose stories are written, and those still writing theirs. For every Minnesotan, for every generation,
Antoine Winfield Jr.
for every golden Gopher. Let me hear you, Minnesota.
Hey guys, welcome to OPA Podcast episode 26, live edition, quarantine edition, Rona edition, whichever you want to call it. We are live for episode 26. For the crew, say hi everyone.
Oh wait, can we actually say hi?
Yeah.
Hi!
Hello.
Yeah, we can speak now.
Oh, we're allowed to
They're out here being
speak
a
now?
dictator on us saying we can't speak.
All right, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Jason. I just graduated
Oh, yeah,
I
in your
am
microphone.
Larranz. Let's see if there's even a football season in 2020. Guider.
My name is Wyatt. Oh, we're Bucks fans now. Oelkers.
And Griffin, I am absolutely obsessed with TikTok most.
Oh god. It's
And-
Vine! It's literally just Vine!
and welcome
Don't even
to
come at me like that, Larranz. There's a huge difference.
and everyone listening in live on Facebook or listening in. Welcome to episode 26 of OPA Podcast. We were back for a special edition mid-off season here. Fortunately, we are in quarantine or stay-at-home orders, so we're just doing a very
Not South Dakota.
rip, but very important episode, so we can get at least get you guys out there. Like, let's start talking football again, because that's what we are passionate about. We enjoy sports and just want to talk about that. So to get things started, I want to pose this question. So it's been 5 months since our victory against the Auburn Tigers in the Outback Bowl. We ended 11-2 with two big wins over Penn State and Auburn, losing to Iowa and Wisconsin. In retrospective, 5 months later, how do you feel about the season overall? Anyone want to start?
Well, exceeding expectations is always a good thing. Being picked whenever we were like sixth in the West or something like that, can't really complain. Especially at the results. We look at being 11-2, winning 4 bowl games in a row, and ending number 10 in the AP poll with a lot of different awards across all different aspects of our team, whether it be coaching staff, offense, defense, special teams, especially. And it's just, and capping it all off with Gophers in the pros. It'll be a good season at hopefully TCF. And a very extensive Gophers in the Pros segment.
I think for me, I echo everything that Griffin just said. You can't really complain when you're picked to finish sixth in the West and you end up winning 11 games. I think that's a little bit more than you can hope for. But yeah, no, I think at one point I complained about the fact that we lost to Iowa, even though we out-yarded them by a lot of, over 100 yards, and we had some drops, but then I thought to myself, well, that's how good of a team that we were last year, that, losing to Iowa in a blackout in Kinnick in November is disappointing to me. So yeah, the team, everything about the 2019 season, fantastic. Let's hope we can push this into an even better 2020.
Yeah, I think all the sentiments are good. I think there's things that obviously can improve. Even though we played Iowa in a blackout in Kinnick in November, that's a game that probably could have been winnable. And hopefully we can make the improvements so that next time that comes around, we can take that win. I think it's also worth noting that the Wisconsin game was a point of disappointment, but when the most disappointing thing is losing to two very good football teams, two incredibly good football teams this season, there's a lot to look back on with great fondness, especially taking down an SEC team on SEC turf.
Who beat Alabama?
And Oregon.
Florida is SEC territory last I checked. So,
for me, so I'm in a weird spot. So I did a 5th-year season last year, and at the start of camp, my body was just done. Like, I couldn't get through state fair. Like, it was rough. And then half of the home games, I either passed out or collapsed because, like, my body couldn't take it right after an intense run of pregame or shows. So I was literally falling apart, and some of the younger band members were like, "Are you sure it's worth taking a 5th year at this point?" And then, of course, we get to Penn State. We win the game.
And that made it all worth it.
And they rushed the field, and I was like, "It's worth it." And then, of course, getting to...
I was at that Penn State game.
As was I. I
was going to say, I hope Larranz and Griffin were also there. But I was at that Penn State game with a group of buddies from the law school. And they're not native Gopher fans. I have a buddy who came over from Princeton. He actually played offensive line at Princeton for a couple of seasons. And I have a buddy from Michigan State, and they are now transplant Gopher fans after that football game.
That
was a big one.
That game transcended, like, beyond being a Gopher fan. Like, it was just the most best game you could be at that weekend. But overall positives from last season. We'll carry on to some of the key departures from the 2019 season. So first things first, Gophers and the pros, as Griffin mentioned earlier. First things first, Antoine Winfield Jr. was drafted 45th overall by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Our hero.
Yep. And some key things, Winfield was named All Big Ten first team. Also Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year. In his career, he has recorded 177 tackles, also scored 3 touchdowns, returned 2 interceptions for pick sixes. And I think one of our leaders of last season in terms of tackles and defensive stats, he was just all over the place. Next up,
he's going to be a terrifying force for
terrifying
NFC South.
And I think
there are going to be some great quarterbacks trying not to throw the ball his way.
And that's the thing, is everyone thinks about him like he's dropping back in coverage. And when the next play, you'll see him sneak up on the line and completely demolish your quarterback.
Like,
there are going to be some very good quarterbacks trying to avoid him at all costs.
Or no, when he
literally.
Or when he shifts from his assignment, like at the 2 Fresno State games, where it was a broken coverage, but he still went make the play, and it's picked off Fresno State 2 years in a row. It was all.
My favorite thing from this entire draft season was watching analysts go and start watching Antoine Winfield tape, and them just being like, "What?" Like, the first reaction is always, "Wait, Antoine Winfield
that boy can do that on the football field.
And then it starts, it shows him, like, you know, in the box, you know, tackling, destroying Anthony McFarland, things of that general nature. There was a particular one that I don't even remember from the Wisconsin game where he just basically body slammed Jonathan Taylor. And then they're like, wow, this man can tackle. And then it shows some of the picks against, like, Maryland and Illinois and things like that. And they're like, okay, the ball can come his way. And then they get to the Fresno picks, and they're like, Grant Delpit who?
No,
Grant Delpit.
Penn State.
Xavier McKinney who?
Penn State, the two picks he got.
They said, you see them going up against a 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver, and they're just like, oh, this was a matchup problem, and then he just goes up and pluck. They're like, get that man a ball right now. So I'm here for it.
And then next up, a Gopher won't be drafted for a while after the second round. It will be until the fifth round with the 161st pick by Tampa Bay for Tyler Johnson, who is one of our most prolific receivers in recent history.
He is the most prolific wide receiver in Minnesota history,
surpassing Ron Johnson and Eric Decker.
I was going to say, if you're better than Eric Decker started for many years.
And he has won a Super Bowl.
Tampa Bay got some talent late in that draft.
I mean, you talk about a man with a year with has like 80 mid 80 receptions, well over 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns, and you're gonna let him drop into the fourth
like
round?
A rock.
I'll take it. I'll take it a step further. First of all, the Big Ten's leading receiver, mind you. The second leading receiver was the Big Ten receiver of the year, Rashad Bateman, who's going in the first round next year. Congratulations. But you're saying, so he had well over 1,000 yards this year. He had well over 1,000 yards last year. He had almost 700 yards the year before, and he missed 3 games. So you're sitting there and you're like, this kid could have had 3,000-yard seasons in a row. Two-time Big Ten first team, all big first team. Put up 100 yards against Ohio State, Iowa, Penn State, Wisconsin. Put up 200 on Auburn, Nebraska. Nebraska don't want to see Tyler Johnson anymore. Literally anyone of note, Tyler Johnson has put his hands on him. And somehow he ends up in the 5th round. Okay.
But we also
somebody gonna pay.
But I almost keep forgetting. So the year PJ's first year. So when we had Connor Rhoda and Demery Croft at quarterback, which I know we don't want to remember, but he still produced in 11 games when he wasn't injured, despite being double bracketed.
Let's be clear. To be even more clear, he did that with 3 completely separate quarterbacks. He did it with Demery and Connor. He did it with Zach Annex did last year. And then he did it with Tanner Morgan all year this year. So 3-4-ish completely different quarterbacks. And Tyler Johnson put up those numbers. Put some respect on his name.
3 different quarterbacks, and none of these people are his recruits. Let's also...
No.
And that's the tea. That's the Simply Lemonade tea.
Listen, I don't know if Tom Brady is as good as any of those quarterbacks, but...
I don't know. Now he gets to play in the slot with Tom Brady and Chris Godwin on one side, Mike Evans on the other side. Chris Godwin being a former Penn State wide receiver, who Tyler Johnson put better numbers up than.
Don't forget the return of Robert Gronkowski.
Oh, and Rob Gronkowski, O.J. Howard. I don't even like Brady, but I'm like, somebody gonna pay. Somebody
is Percy still in the picture here? Is Percy Harvin still in this picture? Do we know?
O.J. Howard, didn't he?
Yeah, they said he had interest in coming back and playing for the Bucks. Pending.
Look.
Man, they're chasing Super Bowl rings now.
Man, imagine having that dangerous of an offense. You don't even need to play defense. Forget about it.
And, they did end up
literally just field Antoine Winfield. You'll be fine.
I know they ended up with like a top 5 Russian defense last year, too, so I'm just like...
And Tom Brady's going to throw everything in the flat anyway, so Antoine dropping back ain't going to do much. You can play him up on the line and disguise him in 30 different coverages.
It's gonna be beautiful.
If you're gonna play against Tom Brady, you just gotta hit him. You gotta
Just
make
hit him.
gun. Make him.
That's why they got Tristan Wirfs up in there saying, "Hit who? Hit who?" Certainly not my quarterback.
I'm pretty
Unless
sure
you're
the Tampa Bay
Minnesota's
Bucks are
lineman.
going to be dangerous with all them Gophers on the field.
All the Big Ten West, the Big Ten in general. Tampa Bay is basically just the Big Ten. You got a quarterback from Michigan. You got a wide receiver from Penn State, a wide receiver from Minnesota. You got an offensive lineman from Iowa. You got some safeties from Minnesota too. I'm just like, so the Tampa Bay Big Ten. That's what this is.
They even took one of the Nebraska D linemen too. So Big Ten West on the wazoo. All right. Next
Literally everyone except Purdue.
Rip. So next up, third that went in the draft was Kemal Martin to the Green Bay Packers.
Let's not talk about it. Next.
All right. Next
We
is
can't talk about one of our own being just absolutely desecrated like that.
When he's healthy, he's a problem. Next.
fourth taking in the draft in the 7th round would be Carter Coughlin by the New York Giants with the 218th pick. And then at the 247th pick by the same team, the Giants, was Chris Williamson. Both were studs in our defense, contributors, starters. Coughlin was part of the Empire class with Kemal Martin, Antoine Winfield, and Tyler Johnson. Chris Williamson was a transfer from Florida, which I keep forgetting he was a transfer the last 2 years. And has literally produced the last 2 seasons as well on the Giants. Then Rodney Smith went undrafted free agent to Carolina Panthers, and Sam Renner D-tackle to the LA Rams as an undrafted free agent. And about 7 Gophers are right now signed with NFL teams.
That's a pretty decent class.
That is
It's not LSU numbers, but we'll get there.
You know who we had more draft picks than?
Nebraska?
Texas. Wait, draft picks? Nebraska had one?
I thought it had 2, but also Alex Ratz said traitor. I think he's regarding Kemal Martin.
Hey, Alex, nice.
It's not like Kemal Martin made that choice himself.
True.
It's not, but he should have just been like, wait, no, I'm sick. I can't do it. Vikings, do something about this. Anyway.
All right.
Like,
so those were key departures in terms of player side. Winston De La Labadiere, Winston De La Labadiere and Thomas Barber. From what Griffin, you said there's still rumblings out there. That's not confirmed yet, right?
I don't know if, obviously they weren't signed or they went undrafted, but I think they're still, they're just working out, trying to get, whatever opportunities they can. I don't know what that entails.
I'm sorry, but I got to hear Winston De La Labadiere's name in the NFL.
De La Labadiere?
A man's got to hear it.
De La Labadiere.
The third.
The Vikings just got Michael Pierce, so maybe the Ravens got some interest in him. He can go back home and cause some problems.
No, but hey,
defense, special teams, wherever they need them.
But hey, I met Winston. He's a pretty awesome dude. If he doesn't pan out in the NFL, I think he's gonna be a great future ahead of him too.
Oh, absolutely.
Same with Thomas. I think I don't know why
anybody coming out of this program.
I think no. What's funny? So these guys in the Empire class came in the same year or the year after we came into college.
Yeah.
So it's sort of so weird. They're going pro, and we're average Joes.
Yeah, I'm just out here, and you think to yourself, it is what it is. I said, Antoine Winfield just out here making a few million. It is what it is. It is what it is.
And then other key departures besides players, we lost Kirk Shiraka to Penn State before the bowl game.
If you can't beat them, take them.
And then, but a good thing. So replacing him will be co-offensive coordinators, Matt Simon, which will also still be coaching wide receivers. And then our other co-offensive coordinator will be Mike Stanford, who was the quarterbacks and OC for Utah State for Jordan Love. Will be co-offensive coordinator along with Matt Simon for PJ. As far as I can tell, they're both in charge of the offense. Seems solid so far. And then we did lose our D-line coach, Panagos, to Rutgers. He got poached by Greg Schiano. And then we lost our defensive backs coach. He went back to Oregon. They offered him a full-time spot there instead. So he took it, and then replacing our defensive backs coach was a coach from Michigan State when Mark D'Antoni retired. He wasn't retained, so he signed aboard. But as far as I know,
he was also at Ohio State when PJ was there as a graduate assistant.
Yep. So this guy is known to be producing NFL talent at defensive backs as well. So in terms of coaching changes, some shakeup. I think the thing that shocked me was that Kirk Shiraka, I knew he was going to leave, but I thought he would leave for a head coaching spot. But he just went back home to Penn State, which wish him all the best. But when we see him against Penn State in the future,
wish him all the best, except when he plays the Gophers.
Yep.
Hey, maybe now in our new offense, we'll learn what a tight end is. As Auburn learned.
Like in the Outback Bowl? Bryce Witham.
Bryce Witham said, oh, touchdown. Said, oh, going game-saving fourth down catch. And I was like, tight end?
One-handed.
One thing I really appreciate, though, with our coaching staff is we always seem to replace people of, like, equal or better talent. And I feel like sometimes you just do not get that across all, like, Chad Wilt, Cincinnati, D-line coach, producing talent. Hal Haynes over at Ohio State, Michigan, you know he's got good talent. Mike Sanford, he averaged 30 points a game over at Utah State University. And that's...
And I looked it up. He was also an OC at Notre Dame, and what Notre Dame had called one of their most prolific offenses ever, which is very interesting. Or at least that's what I thought I saw.
I think our offense this year is going to plateau with the change, not necessarily go down, but I feel like with any change in coaching staffs, it's going to hit a little plateau, and then once everyone's in the system, it's going to skyrocket after that.
Well, hold on. Kirk Shiraka isn't a quarterbacks guy, is he?
He is.
He was our QB coach.
Was he?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He was, because remember when PJ brought him in when he was first hired at Western Michigan, Shiraka was the one that developed whoever Western Michigan's quarterback, Zach Terrell from the 1-11 season, and he got progressively better for 8-5 to 13-1. And then when he came to Minnesota, of course, he had to work with what he got with Connor Rhoda and Demery Croft. And then he got toys of Zach Annexstad, Tanner Morgan, and just went off to the races with them. And I think Tanner Morgan, in hindsight, is similar to a Zach Terrell from Western Michigan. Like, they were
Tanner
small
Morgan's
guys.
got room to improve yet. And I am looking forward to seeing what this new coach has to say about that.
I'm excited to what Mike Sanford can do with Tanner Morgan, because I think there was a point where Kirk Shiraka was trying to use pro-style QBs with the RPO, like very statue-esque, like in the pocket. But there are times when Tanner just needs to know when to run it, and that's what I think Mike Sanford thrives on, is the run-pass option, the RPOs, the option plays, to open up the playbook.
I think we're going to see a very interesting offense this season. I'm really looking forward to it.
And also, can Tanner stop running, like walking into an offensive lineman who's trying to stop a D tackle from sacking him? Please?
No. That's illegal. That's illegal.
Oh, Rats is asking...
He'd be too good.
Rats is asking, when are we naming Lake Witham?
Lake Witham.
From the ESPN broadcast.
Let's end the controversy of bidet, mock ska, and say it like with him.
There you go. All of the controversy over Kaufman Memorial Union, we could just change it to Witham Memorial Union.
Oh my God!
The
You're on to
PGA
something, bro.
Memorial Union. The Tyler Johnson 203 yards against Noah Iguanagani, who went in the first round Memorial Union. That was my favorite tweet. Wyatt, you would enjoy this tweet that came out during the first round. Noah Iguanagani, I think he went like 31st overall. And someone on Twitter went and they were like, "Yo, congratulations on drafting Tyler Johnson's son."
Oh,
That's good stuff.
yeah,
That's what we like to hear.
yeah.
I was like, that's the content I needed on Alcor's internet. Woo. All right.
Actually, I'm trying to remember. I still remember in the Outback Bowl, I was rewatching the recording, the play where Tyler Johnson scored that last touchdown to essentially seal the game, when he smoked Smoke Monday for the touchdown.
No one decided, no corner went with him, and they wanted to put a safety on Tyler Johnson, and that's disrespectful. So he disrespected them. It is the circle of life.
He went from the left side earlier in the game on a crossing route and climbed a mountain and snagged that one and came down with it. Then he just goes the other way across the field, and they're just like, bye-bye. I don't even think he put a move on anybody. They just let him run.
Tyler Johnson's not fast. Well, he's faster than you.
All
Your
right.
only good play of the game was Noah Iguanagani taking it to the house. And that's the T.
All right. So pretty awesome stuff there with the key departures from 2019. Next up, let's get into recruiting. So during this quarantine time, PJ and staff has been like on steroids doing something with recruiting. Like we took like a bunch of recruits in a single week. Even though the NCAA prohibited them from like any more communication and stuff like that. And we still have like a top 10 recruiting class as of mid-May, and then second behind the Big Ten behind Ohio State. Like, let's talk about recruiting.
Listen, if we're second behind the greatest recruiting class of all time, then that's fine.
We got.
I'm cool with that.
I'm actually really excited for Ja Joyner. I know he was highly coveted out east and got a lot of offers from a lot of different areas, and then we had, of course, Panagos, who recruited him, leave, and probably could have even tried to get him to come to Rutgers. Maybe he did. I don't know. But the fact that he was willing to stay with the change over to Chad Wilt, that speaks volumes. It really does.
And who wants to play for Rutgers, though?
You know who wants to play for Rutgers? Noah Vedral, transferring out of Nebraska. The man that knows Scott Frost's system better than probably Adrian Martinez, but they're going to go with the cripple at quarterback instead of someone that actually knows how to run. Sorry. Yikes. Sorry.
You didn't have to kill him dead like that.
Spicy. Wow. I mean, is that so much so that no one wants to play for Rutgers, or is it more so no one wants to play for Scott Frost?
Both.
I apologize to our viewers from the old Raritan.
I found
Rutgers will become a destination, though. Give them 3 or 4 years.
one big recruiting battle, because we also took the #1 recruit out of the state of Nebraska, being Avante Dickerson, the top 6 cornerback in the country, while we also took another 4-star Stephen Ortiz as another cornerback, which is to say our secondary starting in 2021-22 is going to be disgusting.
I don't know.
Huh?
I was gonna say I don't know if this happened before or after, but Nebraska added 2 coaches, I think, on the defensive side of the ball. And I don't if it was before and they couldn't get them. Sucks. If it was after, too late.
Too late.
A little too late.
Too late. It also didn't help that apparently Nebraska fans were chewing this 18-year-old out on Twitter, or 17-year-old rather on Twitter for making his decision. Doesn't shine very nicely on them, but all right.
At least we got Minnesota nice.
They did get the Minnesota nice, and there's a really interesting recruiting battle that has nothing to do with us, but I find it hilarious. A guy named Thomas Fedone, who is a very, very, very high 4-star tight end in the state of Iowa, who Nebraska and Iowa are fighting for because apparently he grew up a Nebraska fan. But is there any other place you go if you're a tight end other than Iowa?
I don't know.
And so
Ask with them.
Them trying to convince a tight end from Iowa that they would be better for him than Iowa.
But Nebraska
It's my favorite recruiting battle. I'm just out here. I'm just like, if he, like, I hate Iowa. We all hate Iowa. It's a part of the contract when you go to the University of Minnesota.
But Iowa knows tight ends.
They do. They tight ends. It's like telling a 4-star running back not to go to Wisconsin.
Remember Jonathan Taylor was a 3-star recruit and still demolished the Big Ten West for 3 seasons? Like he wasn't a 4-star, he wasn't a 5-star.
No, he was a 3-star. But I'm like, Kai Thomas for us. I was looking up the numbers that this kid put up, and I said, how is he a 3-star?
I know, right? Yeah.
He said the second most rushing yards in Kansas history. Gatorade Player of the Year, 30-some touchdowns in his senior year, and you telling me he a 3-star?
Was Isaiah Simmons a 4-star?
Isaiah Simmons was a 3-star, and not even a high 3-star. And Brett Venables I've been saying that Ja, is his name Ja?
I think it's Ja.
Yeah.
Ja Joyner reminds me a lot of Isaiah Simmons. Especially like those really long arms I said. Wait a
You know who else has really long arms? Kemal Martin. And that was a problem. Strip the ball.
Strip the ball. We doing strip sacks only in this household from 2020 and 2021.
But
I think a bright spot for Nebraska, though, is they got LSU's kicker from this year. Because I think it's a graduate transfer.
Congratulations.
A bright spot for them
instead of
is
going
that they're
12
taking
for
a
20 on
graduate
field
transfer
goals,
kicker.
they can go maybe like 20 for 22.
also,
and not end up 5 and 7.
We forget too. At the start, like way before, like 2 years ago, a year ago, so in early 2019, 2 brothers, Dino and Ethan Calamacan, I can't pronounce it.
I can't pronounce it either.
So they were recruited. They verbally committed to PJ and Co. super early in the process, which doesn't usually happen, but the brothers did. And the key thing I noticed was that a lot of those recruits that like verbally committed these past few months and weeks, they looked up to him because again he's a high ranking recruit in the entire country who committed to the Gophers and has stayed committed since early 2019. And he's been hyping up Roll the Boat and was saying he's been committed before we had that 11-2 season last year. Like this kid was on board, and somehow with him being like say the rock of your recruiting class, let the others join in and skyrocket. Like it's pretty cool.
Name, aren't we?
Say it again?
We're gonna have to learn his name, aren't we?
Yeah.
I don't want to have to learn his name. I just looked this kid up.
K.
Hey, what's Tua's younger brother's name?
Talua.
Talua.
Talua Tagovailoa?
It took us 3 years to learn Tagovailoa, okay? It took us 3 years to learn that name.
And now we got to learn this too? Nah,
Hey,
man.
Kaliakmanis, Greek dude, okay? So
Greek
that's what
freak.
he's plundering the state of Illinois, though.
Rip
Got
Lovey.
Ethan Marquise, the 4-star running back, who will be out here replacing Mohammed
Mohammed.
Man.
in the next 2 years. Sam, not L. Jackson, who may be a running back, might be a receiver, might be a quarterback, who knows? But
Over under this year, how many people Muhammad Ibrahim injures? Over under 6. Oh,
I'm going to say...
just ask Georgia Tech how that went.
I think it's going to be equivalent to the amount of games we win, 11.
Oh.
That was
And no,
bold.
he's going to hurt
Actually-
more in the bowl game. Like you always do.
Oh, yeah, 14. 14 people are going to die in the bowl. Bowl game, Muhammad hit different. It hit different.
I
Literally.
hope Mo watches this. Because I just need him to know how much we love him.
I just want Muhammad Ibrahim on this podcast. That's the goal. Anyone who's watching, just know that we are all Muhammad Ibrahim stands. We know it's just Muhammad Ibrahim, but when he runs over somebody at Auburn, that's Muhammad right there, okay?
Next season, we're inviting Mo to every single podcast.
You need to say Muhammad every time he gets the first down.
I just want that to be a thing. Can that be a thing every time he just destroys somebody?
Muhammad.
No, we need to make a GIF and then send it on the group chat whenever he scores a touchdown or first down.
I want him to be his own gift. That's what I want. Be his own gift. Yes.
You gotta get
what I
Mike.
think is necessary.
You got to get Mike Grimm to say Muhammad every time on the radio.
Yes.
Every single time.
No, Jamie. Well, Jamie for the in-game announcing stuff.
Mhm. And I'm just looking at some other 4-star wide recruits that haven't even joined us yet, who are our prospects, who are warm to us, who may end up here. I see Jaden Hood, inside linebacker, 4-star out of Florida, warm to us. Doesn't have a crystal ball yet. Can we get him? I think we can. Jamari Button, an outside linebacker from Michigan. I see PJ Fleck is out here looking at this D-line in the future and our linebackers to cover it, and I'm here for it. I'm looking at that.
Any offensive linemen?
We got a high 3-star offensive lineman who's 6'7", something like that, who is also going to be, and I quote, a problem. But no, I'm just out here watching what he's doing on this D-line, and I'm ready. I'm ready. I want our linebackers to go hunting. That's what I want. So
Then
we have the ability to possibly get like a class with 7 or 8 4-stars in it.
Then this brings the question up for me. Do you see Joe Rossi still being here when that class gets signed?
Yeah.
Well, I hope so.
Because I'm thinking no, and the guy who's going to take
Papa
his
Joe?
place, and the guy who's going to take his place was the guy who replaced him at Maine, who's now our defensive backs coach.
I mean, for me,
No.
if Joe Rossi produces a defense anywhere near what this defense was last year, with the amount of people who left, because last year our defense was top in the country. If he produces another top 10 defense or even top 15, somebody is gonna take it.
Somebody sign this man.
Somebody and get this man a shield. Like somebody's gonna take the Rossi, okay? Like Now the question is, who's going first, Joe Rossi at Minnesota or Jim Leonard at Wisconsin? Because Jim Leonard should have been gone years ago.
Jim Leonard. I want him gone.
We all want him gone.
I think it'll be Papa Joe.
Oh,
They
I
bring
really
back
think it'll be Papa Joe.
They bring back 9 members of their defense. Wisconsin, 9. Off of that defense that was top 4 in the country.
Yeah.
It was babies. It was filled with babies. Everyone's going.
And now it's grown men.
Now they some grown.
Oh, there's only 11 on the field. 9? Oh, crap. That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a
We're gonna
problem.
It's just their offense is gonna score 10 points a game, and their defense is gonna give up 3. That's gonna be Wisconsin this year. Because they lose the top 2 wide receivers, they lose the GOAT at running back, and normally, Wisconsin replaces running backs like they just grow out of beers.
I'm pretty sure they grow out of the ground at fucking Camp Randall.
Now they grow out of Miller Lights.
They grow out of Miller Lights, but I'm like this. I feel like this is more Corey Clement than a Jonathan Taylor type of situation.
Man, Corey Clement.
He was a problem. Corey Clement was a problem, but he wasn't a Jonathan Taylor problem. You can survive.
Corey Clement wasn't really that much of a problem.
Huh?
Corey Clement was a mild problem.
He was a mild problem.
Like,
He
he was
wasn't a
a
Melvin Gordon.
4 on the
He
danger
wasn't-
scale. And Jonathan Taylor was an 11.
Jonathan Taylor is the scale. That's what he is. He is the scale.
Oh, Larranz Rats had a question. I should probably bring it up now before we end this
Why?
podcast. Have Larranz talk about PJ's magic Kool-Aid. He's a wizard.
Phone just fell down. Someone said PJ's Magic Kool-Aid, and my phone decided to slide into DMs of every single recruit that PJ is currently sliding into.
It's called Red Bull.
There you go. It's that PJ Red Bull.
No
Let me
Coke.
speak- Let me
Not
speak
you on that
to
Red
what
Bull.
PJ is doing, and this may sound like I'm throwing a lot of shade, and it most definitely is. So, for a while, PJ couldn't recruit to the level that he really needed to maintain success because Minnesota isn't a program that could just survive off of hype, unlike other programs in Lincoln, Nebraska that have solely survived off hype. I'm not saying I'm throwing shade, but I'm throwing a lot of shade.
You're throwing a lot of shade for someone who's not throwing shade.
It's coronavirus.
That's like that's an Engage 8 blitz kind of shade.
Hey, it's coronavirus. I haven't been around people in months. I think that this is how social interactions are supposed to go. From what
The
I
Rona's
remember.
getting to him, guys.
You guys said the name that should not be named.
And
Hey, hold on. I said the Rona.
That had
I got it right.
last year, that walked into TCF Bank Stadium, and got ran over. Now, I'm not gonna say what team that was because quite a few teams got ran over last year by us, but one of those teams had this really cool cornerback who may or may not, but definitely was at that game. Now, I'm not going to say any names. But what PJ is doing right now is he's saying, now, I took a team that had exactly 2 4-stars on it, and I won 11 games. And I sent
Imagine
5
what
of
you
them to
would
the
do.
NFL. I sent 5 of them to the NFL. I had 1 4-star wide receiver, and Mel Kiper has him number 8 overall for the 2021 draft. I had 1 low 4-star. So what can I do with you? See, this is results-oriented recruiting. Results-oriented recruiting. And let us get another 10-win season. Don't let PJ get another 10-win season, because if he does that, this recruiting is gonna be fun. But thank you, Mr. Rats, for your question. More of the story is the Kool-Aid tastes like every time Muhammad Ibrahim ran over one of Nebraska's linebackers to get to the zone. Oh wait, did I mention that name? Oh, I'm not throwing shade at Nebraska. I'm just saying they're bad.
Thank you for coming to Larranz's TED Talk.
They're going to 5-7 again, and I can't. They're gonna lose to Cincinnati. I said Cincinnati. They're gonna lose to Cincinnati. They're gonna lose to Cincinnati and Purdue.
They're gonna lose to a team that isn't real.
And I can't wait. I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
We doing hot takes now?
Ooh.
Well, hold on a second. Speaking, I'm kind of going off Larranz's results-oriented discussion. There was recently a tweet that came out. I'm trying to find it about who sent it out, but it was basically like the teams in college football that utilize their talent the best.
Oh, yes.
And
Yep.
2 out of the top 4 were Minnesota and Oregon at like almost 80% or something like that.
I think we were 78 point something, and then Oregon same
Right.
well, 78 point something.
I was just like, dang.
I won't fault Oregon. They use their talent well.
Shout
But
out to Oregon.
They use their talent well in the Pac-12.
Shout out to Oregon for making Wisconsin choke away another Rose Bowl.
Oh.
All I'm saying is we beat the team that beat Oregon.
Auburn.
That's all I'm saying.
That sounds like we're better than Wisconsin.
It sounds like if it didn't snow, never mind. I ain't even gonna go there.
Remember when Nebraska said they thought Joe Burrow wasn't good enough? Then he went to LSU and then won the Heisman 2 years later.
Remember when Adrian Martinez was a Heisman finalist before the season even started?
Oof. Remember we heard multiple quarterbacks last year? We heard Elijah Sindelar.
I'm not even gonna say nothing, because they talking mad crap this year, coming into this year too, and I'm like, y'all acting like Purdue doesn't have David Bell and Rondale Moore about to be on the same field. And David Bell had 1,000 yards as a freshman, and Rondale Moore wasn't there.
Wasn't Jack Plummer the backup QB that took over Sindelar when we played against them?
He did.
And he was destroying us.
And he's back.
He's gonna be back. Rondale's gonna be back. David Bell's gonna be back. Somebody gotta pay. That's the moral of the story. Because Jeff Brom was making more money than just about anyone in the Big Ten. So someone is gonna pay next year, and I imagine it's gonna start with Nebraska.
Hey, who does Northwestern has? Who does the Wildcats have at quarterback for Patty Fitz?
Peyton Ramsey.
Yeah.
Wait, Peyton Ramsey's at Northwestern now?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he transferred from Indiana to Northwestern.
Oh crap!
What?
Yeah. Wait, I really hope someone needs to look up right now, because unless it was
Well,
some
if
dream,
that's true, Northwestern
like-
just became the surprise challenger for the Big Ten West.
I don't know why we talking about surprise.
I'm still salty that I'm
Okay.
still salty that they said because of Peyton Ramsey, Northwestern's going to be in the top 25 next
So
year.
here's it. Hoosiers now from Sports Illustrated breaking: former Indiana QB Peyton Ramsey picks Northwestern to transfer.
That's what I'm saying.
People.
None of y'all heard that?
About Peyton Ramsey. Peyton Ramsey was carrying Indiana, and he was being a really good person doing it, because they sure did try to move on from him.
And remember, he carried that team last year to a 9-win season after their starting quarterback got hurt and he got benched. He's a grown-ass man who's now going to be killing others in the West with Northwestern. Assuming Patty
Northwestern
Fitz
just came
doesn't F it
back
up.
from their slumber a little bit early. That's for sure.
I'm glad we get them late. That's what I'm saying. I'm glad we get them late in Minnesota and the snow where we can just run them over again. That's what I want. So, anybody got hot takes? I got one.
Oh boy.
Laurent, go ahead.
This is a two-part hot take. Hot take number one: we beat Michigan, and because of
Not too hot, but
not too hot,
It's not spicy yet, but it's something I like.
not a spicy to look yet.
This is a sad hot take. This is a very sad hot take. So, okay, we beat Michigan. Obviously, they do that thing where they lose to Penn State or Wisconsin, and then they lose to Ohio State in, blowout fashion, and then they go to probably the Outback Bowl where they will get blown out by South Carolina or something of that general nature. Michigan will then fire Jim Harbaugh, and they go.
That's not a sad hot take.
And they go after PJ Fleck.
Oh shit.
Now it's a sad hot take.
That's the sad because that I kept thinking like, where would PJ Fleck go? Like I think to myself, where could PJ Fleck go that wouldn't be a lateral move, but he can stay in the Midwest because that's where he's from. That's what he knows.
That's where he wants to be.
That's where he knows. And more importantly, where can he take his brand? And the only two non-lateral moves, honestly, I don't believe that there's another place that will let him take his brand the way that Minnesota has. But the only places that I think would tolerate him, Michigan, Notre Dame. That's it.
Not Arkansas?
Why would he go to Arkansas? You got to deal with Alabama and LSU every year.
But to rebuild, because then again, they had terrible history
Yeah,
the
but
last
that's
few
not
years.
Midwest. I don't think he's leaving the Midwest unless he can go to.
Unless he's going to because the thing is, if you can do relatively what PJ Fleck's doing right now, and you can build a superpower in the Big Ten West.
I think Notre Dame is a stretch.
But the Notre Dame only really plays the ACC.
True.
ACC is bad.
Besides
Except
Clemson.
for Clemson and everybody else. So like until the Big Ten West, because like the big thing that would lure him away would be like Nebraska getting good, but like so yeah, that's my hot take.
I was actually going to do a similar hot take. I was actually going to say that Michigan is finally going to get what they deserve, and they're going to finish 5th in the Big Ten East.
Bold. That's bold, Wyatt.
Well, it was way right into yours when they fired Jim Harbaugh.
Dang. Wow.
Ohio State's better. Penn State's better. Michigan State's got to come back one of these years. And eventually Maryland's going to have to do something.
What about Indiana?
Oh,
Indiana lost Peyton Ramsey.
But they bring back the guy who a lot of people said was better than Peyton Ramsey in the first place, so.
Well, the jury's out on Indiana then.
It's like if we lost Tanner
It's
Morgan,
6th in the Big Ten East.
Well, Rutgers still is last.
Oh, yeah, Rutgers isn't going anywhere yet.
Rip.
What if he lost to
Colorado has a long road ahead of him.
What if he lost to Rutgers, though? What if Jim lost?
Sorry, if Michigan finished 7th in the Big Ten East, I would lose my damn mind. I would lose my damn mind.
No, I thought the question was if Michigan lost to Rutgers, even though they finished 1st or 2nd in the East, no matter what, they just lost to Rutgers.
They're eliminated from the playoff conversation.
Anybody
If you lose to Rutgers when they have nothing, you don't deserve to be in the playoff conversation yet.
You don't deserve to be here. Wow.
Jim Harbaugh should be fired if they lose to Rutgers.
No, it's like that family.
On the spot. On the spot.
It's like that Family Guy
Oh.
meme where like Peter, Lois, and Chris are all dressed up like, and then Meg is yelling like, "Why are you all better than me?" And it's like the playoff teams, and then it's Michigan being Meg.
Real quick, last thing, because Bob, we have a pair of twin 4-star wide receivers that are both from Warmo, Minnesota. Bryson and Blaine Green from Allen, Texas. And all I'm saying is, we got Dino and Eighth in California.
I just want to call him Galifianakis. Like,
Galifianakis. Dino and Eighth. That's
Listen,
all right, Griffin.
it's going to happen.
Don't
gonna
say. That is too bold.
We're not gonna give any love to Jacob Clark once Tanner Morgan leaves. No.
He did throw a nice ball against Mira.
Zach Annick will have another season.
Assuming he doesn't get injured.
Theoretically.
Jacob Clark to Harry Van Dyne for 39 yards. That was a beautiful throw.
That was a dime. I was like, did not see that coming, but I'm glad it happened.
You know what I also didn't see coming, but was glad it happened?
What?
Coney Durr catching a football, rolling off a back, and taking it to the house. That pick six was nasty.
I thought you were going to stop that sentence at Coney Durr catching a football, and I was going to say, the disrespect to that man.
Maryland's gonna beat the crap out of us next year. That's another hot take, but that's just we gotta pay. We can't beat Maryland in
Wait,
College Park unless Mitch Leitner is our quarterback.
No, it was Connor Rhoda.
Was it Connor Rhoda?
Connor Rhoda.
It was Connor Rhoda. That was the Connor Rhoda year.
Because Mitch got benched because of a concussion protocol.
Concussion.
And that's the same game Antoine ran it back for a pick six.
Okay, I just want to hear why. Griffin, what's your hot take?
I off the top of my head, like, haven't had time to think. I haven't really thought about some hot takes, but something's gonna happen with Jeff Brom after another underwhelming season. Larranz called me crazy last year after I said they were gonna go like 6-6 or something, and it's not all his fault. Injuries happen. All I'm saying is,
team wasn't injured.
True. And how many bowl games have they been to in the past 4 years? How many have they won? 2? 1?
0.
I think it was
Yeah,
one of
because
them.
they let Auburn put 73 points on them last year.
Exactly. That's like something's gonna happen with Brom. I don't know what it is.
My hot take is not spicy, but we're going to get back the jug and the pig and the axe. We're getting all of them. But we lose to BYU.
But we lose to BYU?
We gonna lose to the Fighting Mormons? Really?
Yes.
Really?
We ain't losing to BYU.
We're going to lose to the Mormons, but then win back the
BYU,
rivalry
we don't
trophies.
deserve that.
to be fair, BYU has had some surprising wins in the past, like, 3 years.
Wisconsin.
Yo, I said if we lose to
All
BYU,
2 of
we
their
don't
wins in the
deserve
past 3 years have been surprising.
it. And BYU beat Wisconsin in the same year. They lost the Axe. If you lose to BYU, you don't deserve that.
And I would think that Mike Sanford, being in Utah for a little bit, would know somewhat about the BYU offense.
True.
Run them over.
All right. And that concludes this episode of a Podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed this special quarantine edition. And we hope to be back sooner in the future. We're all busy right now with work or with life at the moment. So we'll try our best to get back. This live stream thing, it seems to be working out pretty well. Hopefully we can get more people in the next one. But I'd like to say thank you, and we'll see you guys next time. Again, my name is Jason.
Larranz.
I'm Wyatt.
Griffin Most.
And we see you guys next time. Have a good day, everyone. Oh,
Oh,